Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
San Diego County leaders are taking a cue from local cities to address the homelessness crisis. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. The County Board of Supervisors is moving ahead with plans to create a county-wide encampment ban. As KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer shows us, the idea got a lot of pushback at today's meeting.
We were in a van with no options.
In front of a nearly full room at the San Diego County Administration Building Tuesday, the Board of Supervisors considered a county-wide unsafe camping ban. Jordan Bean of the Regional Task Force on Homelessness was one of dozens who spoke out against the proposal.
We've not had a month since March of 2022 where more people in our region have exited homelessness than began experiencing it for the first time.
District 2 Supervisor Joel Anderson is pushing the ordinance, saying it's necessary to help the region's ongoing homelessness crisis in unincorporated areas. He says it differs in some ways from the ban in the city of San Diego.
We're not the same as San Diego because we do have a housing element and a shelter element in our board letter, right? We're saying that we want to create more shelters, that this is a very important issue, and we want to address it on every level possible.
The ordinance would allow law enforcement to prohibit and abate illegal encampments, remove improperly stored items on public property, and protect vacant property from fire and pollution. Almost every speaker at the meeting spoke out against the county proposal, and many speakers had lived experience sleeping on the streets.
And we shouldn't be penalized or have my children in fear. They go to Crown Point Elementary School, Madison High School, and PB Middle School. We had to pitch a tent at times, 6 people in a van. There are no resources. And my kids are in fear of what's going to happen to their parents.
Bean said there are better solutions than this ordinance.
Our region needs to vastly increase the amount of affordable housing available to residents at all income levels. In the interim, we need all types of shelter options connected to coordinated street outreach to see real reductions.
Around the county, cities are starting to enact similar bans. Poway approved a similar ordinance in July. Santee made it illegal to have an ignition source in the San Diego River corridor, and the cities of Encinitas, El Cajon, and Chula Vista are considering similar bans. The proposal will be looked at by county staff and come back to the Board of Supervisors for further consideration. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
The Board of Supervisors failed to advance a resolution supporting Governor Newsom's proposed gun control amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Chairwoman Nora Vargas and Vice Chair Tara Lawson-Remer voted yes, while Supervisors Joel Anderson and Jim Desmond voted no. The District 4 supervisor seat, which would have been the tiebreaker, is currently vacant. The proposed amendment would raise the minimum age to purchase a gun from 18 to 21, and it would also mandate universal background checks, ban assault rifles for civilians, and impose a waiting period for all gun purchases. An amendment would require the backing of 33 other states to call for a constitutional convention to consider it. We need to warn you, some of the images and subject matter in this next story may be hard to hear or see. As the humanitarian crisis in Gaza worsens, Hamas has released 2 more hostages, and one of them, an 85-year-old grandmother, is now telling her story. Mike Valerio explains as intensive talks to free hostages continue, some major obstacles remain.
Moments 2 elderly hostages, now free from the grip of Hamas, thought might never come. One of the released hostages says she was kidnapped on a motorbike and taken to Gaza. The 85-year-old is likening her time with the group to going through hell.
She's really the first person that have been with other people there, and I think she's very aware that she can pass on information.
Their medical condition is okay. They're talking. At first, we immediately brought them to their family members. It was a very, very emotional meeting.
Meanwhile, in Gaza, people frantically search for survivors in buildings that have been bombed to ruins. The Palestinian Ministry of Health reporting more than 700 people have been killed in a bloody 24-hour period. And without much needed fuel being withheld in humanitarian aid deliveries, Gaza's hospitals are facing the possibility of mass casualty situations.
Without electricity, this hospital will just be a mass grave.
As attacks escalate, the Israeli military says it's now waiting for a green light on a ground invasion.
Hamas is responsible for civilian casualties, but we will do every effort to avoid them and to fight this war as speedily and as rapidly as we can, but it could be a long war.
To any state or non-state actor that is considering opening another front in this conflict against Israel, or who may target Israel's partners, including the United States, don't throw fuel on the fire.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Well, we are tracking a cooling trend. The temperatures are going to continue to drop as we head over these next few days as that chilly air does make its way coming in from the north. It's also going to be quite breezy. We are tracking gusty conditions, especially across the deserts and mountains. We'll tell you how gusty it's going to get and how cool temperatures will go as we head over these next few days.
California is one of dozens of states using Meta for designing features that addict children to its social media platforms, knowing they have negative health consequences. KPBS reporter Melissa May has more on the lawsuit filed today.
The lawsuit claims the social media companies use harmful features on Facebook and Instagram that affect the mental health of children and teens.
Whenever a child is harmed, especially when adults knowingly do it after they've have the information, when there's no guesswork involved, they know, but they do it anyway. That's a problem, and so that's why we're acting.
The complaint alleges Meta created a business model focused on maximizing young users' time on its platforms.
Evidence that more time on social media tends to be correlated with depression, with anxiety, body image issues, susceptibility to addiction, and interference with daily life, including learning.
The U.S. research and polling organization Gallup surveyed more than 1,500 teens in the U.S. this year and found half spend at least 4 hours a day on social media. California Attorney General Rob Bonta says their investigation found Meta acknowledged it knew about harmful effects of using its platforms in internal documents, but did not disclose that to the public.
We know Meta had internal discussions about the negative impact of the like button, but decided to keep it anyway. We know Meta has internal documents that include studies and reports discussing the harmful effects of Meta's products and the mental health problems they can cause young users. We know that Meta knows that Instagram is addicting. It even used that word internally, addicting.
Jean Twangy is a psychology professor at San Diego State University who consulted with the state on the lawsuit. She says there is an overwhelming amount of evidence that shows in the last 10 to 12 years, symptoms like depression and loneliness have increased in teens, while self-esteem and life satisfaction have decreased.
Emergency room admissions for self-harm quadrupled for 10 to 14-year-old girls between 2010 and 2021.
Twangy says she started noticing trends for adolescents' mental health in 2012. That's around the same time teen social media use became virtually mandatory, she says. Facebook bought Instagram and smartphones got front-facing cameras.
If that's the explanation, what you would expect is that these increases in teen mental health issues would be international and not just in the U.S. And that's exactly what we found. So teen anxiety increased in countries around the world. We had a recent paper just a couple months ago. And adolescent loneliness increased in 36 out of 37 countries around the world.
In a statement, a Meta spokesperson says, "We share the Attorney General's commitment to providing teens with safe, positive experiences online and have already introduced over 30 tools to support teens and their families. We're disappointed that instead of working productively with companies across the industry to create clear, age-appropriate standards for the many apps teens use, the Attorneys General have chosen this path." Attorneys in the case say they were unable to reach a settlement with Meta prior to filing the suit. They are seeking remedies that would, quote, end practices that fuel addictions and take people down dark holes. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Red ribbons are an outward sign of the ongoing war to stop drugs and overdose deaths. KPBS education reporter MG Perez says in this Red Ribbon Week, there's also a new effort to reach students by video.
And on behalf of our Board of Education and all of our partner organizations,
just feet away from students changing classes here at Coronado Middle School, there was a press conference this morning with administrators and politicians wearing red ribbons, reminding everyone to say no to drugs.
But the drug market and everything that's out there that is of danger to our children is fluid. It's changing by the minute.
Red Ribbon Week officially started in 1988 after members of a Mexican drug cartel tortured and murdered a DEA agent from Calexico, Enrique Kiki Camarena. Today, students in Coronado are aware of the legacy and the reality of illegal drug use.
When it's so accessible these days, it's almost impossible for there not to be at least one person who lives in Coronado who's a student who's experimenting with something like this.
And even if someone survives an overdose, they may damage their physical, mental, and emotional health.
I Choose My Future is the title of a new series of online videos to educate school children about the imminent danger of dying from illegal drugs. The videos are now available for classroom curriculum in schools or for families to access at home.
You hear things everywhere that can really scare you, especially things with alcohol and drug abuse, the peer pressure, and people just trying to get you to do something.
The San Diego County Office of Education says school-age children are vulnerable to drug overdoses. 2 years ago, a dozen teenagers in the county under 18 died from illegal drug use. Right now, the majority of drug overdose deaths across San Diego County are caused by fentanyl. In 2019, 152 people died ingesting the potent synthetic opioid. That number soared to 814 by 2021 and stayed the same in 2022. The discouraging statistics make it a challenge to try to determine what success might look like in this current war on drugs. In this case, a plateau in the number of deaths is a first step.
The fact that we are plateauing instead of tripling and quadrupling like we were means that something is working, that we are all doing here collaboratively fighting for our children's lives.
It's just amazing. This video is going out to really show more people that we need to stop this issue.
I have responsibility to tell them, hey, that's not okay. You should really think about your decisions because that might not be a good thing for you to do.
Students are now saying a lot more than just no to drugs.
I choose my future.
MG Perez, KPBS News.
A new program to secure long-term treatment for individuals with severe mental health concerns is up and running in San Diego. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman spoke to a father and daughter who are hoping Care Court will help her get her life back.
Care Court has a narrow focus of eligibility. The treatment program that could be up to 2 years long is meant for San Diegans living with untreated schizophrenia or other psychotic disorders. County behavioral health leaders say it's designed to break the crisis treatment cycle, a cycle that Nakia Lavender has been going through for nearly a decade.
I have went through so much, losing my family, losing my stability, being homeless, losing my mind.
Lavender says she was diagnosed with schizophrenia when she was 28 years old. She believes it was triggered by substance abuse.
I was using cocaine, and they said it was cocaine and fentanyl when I went into the hospital, so I think the fentanyl broke the dam.
The last 9 years or so haven't been easy. Periodic drug use means she hasn't always been taking medication meant to treat her symptoms.
You go and you get on the medicine and you start feeling better, and then you're like, oh, I don't have to take as much medicine, and then you start dwindling down on your medicine, and then it starts creeping back up.
She describes living with untreated schizophrenia as walking dementia.
And until you get the right hormones or whatever, the right nutrients in your body that makes you function correctly, you're not. It's hallucinating, it's seeing things, hearing things, you know, it's really bad, you know, and you can't function on your day-to-day, like eating, hydrating, you know, stuff that's going to keep you alive. Even sleeping, it comes with insomnia.
Nakia recently spent a month in jail and was able to get sober, something her dad Timothy says was a blessing.
I think that began to change her thought process, change her feeling about that she needs some help and that she can't do it on her own and she can't continue to keep going down the same path.
Timothy lives in Northern California, but he's been with Nakia through all the ups and downs, something he calls a revolving door, especially when trying to help an adult child.
And it leaves you as a parent very frustrated because there's not much you can do. The biggest battle is getting Nakia to buy into the fact that she needs the help.
Timothy believes a long-term treatment program like Care Court will help his daughter change her life.
I feel that the Care Court is going to give her that routine back. It's going to give her that and also give her that hope that she may not have at this time.
County officials say in the first week of the program, 6 petitions for care were filed, and they expect 1,000 or so over the next year. Family members, treatment providers, and first responders are among those who can do a petition for someone to have a treatment plan. The plans are unique and will vary from person to person. They could include housing, something that Nakia is hoping to get. Now 37, she says she's ready for long-term care.
So I need to get myself kind of back together so I can get back into my kids' life so we can get back to normal, like going to Disneyland, you know? Yeah. Six Flags. I miss all those things, but if I can't function, I can't even be a part of it, you know?
Right. No, I get you. I imagine it's tough.
And then when you're in your mental, you run from people, you hide because you don't know what's going on with you, so you definitely are ashamed. It comes with a lot of shame.
County officials say once a petition for Care Court is submitted, a judge will do an initial review within 2 weeks. In the meantime, Nakia is making some tough decisions to cut certain people or triggers from her life that in the past have resulted in substance abuse.
I have another chance and I don't want to lose it. I'm ready to jump head, feet first. Let's just go. Take me in and wash me clean, please, you know? Like it's gonna be my baptismal, you know?
Her dad, Timothy, says there's been times when he would say he's done, but his faith and love for his only daughter is what keeps him invested.
With my daughter, I couldn't give up on her because I know she's gonna do some great things one of these days. She's gonna live a good life. She's gonna take care of those 4 grandkids that I have.
Timothy is planning to submit a petition soon. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Many Americans are or will be soon choosing their employer-provided health plan during open enrollment, but as premiums soar, many families are facing hundreds of dollars more out of pocket for the same coverage that they had before. Laura Aguirre has more on what to do when you consider when making your selection.
The cost of family health insurance is basically the cost of a new car, a new small car, but still a new car.
Matthew Ray co-authored KFF's recent survey on employer health benefits. He says the average annual family plan now costs nearly $24,000, and workers are paying more for their share after their companies foot the rest of the bill.
So to enroll a family of 4, on average, you're paying about $6,500. Workers at smaller firms are paying more than $12,000.
Those price points represent an average increase of around $500. For single coverage, the tab for employees is about $1,400 a year, a $75 bump. But Ray does have some pointers on choosing a healthcare plan going forward.
If you anticipate having health needs, if you have chronic health conditions, then you may want to have a plan with lower cost sharing. That's lower deductibles, co-pays, and co-insurances. Alternatively, if you're relatively healthy, you may want to pay less money up front, and you may want to go for a plan that has a lower premium contribution.
There's also the annual out-of-pocket maximum. And once that's met, most plans cover services 100% for the rest of the year.
If you think you're going to have a big expense of the year with multiple services, then an out-of-pocket maximum will kind of protect you from having huge expenses.
And protection from huge expenses is one choice everyone would like to make. For Consumer Watch, I'm Laura Aguirre.
And Ray cites inflation and a rush of post-pandemic demand as key factors in the soaring premiums, adding that it probably won't level off anytime soon since healthcare costs have been growing faster than the rate of inflation for the past 25 years. The first signs of respiratory virus season are just starting to show in the U.S. The CDC is already predicting this fall and winter will be just as bad as last year when it comes to illnesses and hospitalizations. Right now, virus levels are relatively low overall. At the peak of this season, CDC says there could be between 15 and 25 weekly hospitalizations for every 100,000 people. COVID will probably account for half of those, while the flu and RSV make up the other half.
Not only for COVID, but also for influenza. Remember, we've got medications that we can use to treat both of these viruses if caught early.
And to help prevent you or those around you getting sick, wash your hands frequently, sanitize high-touch areas, and stay home if you aren't feeling well. And if you have to go out, wear a mask and get tested. Sparks flew today in North County as high school students tried their hands on jobs in the building industry. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Wynn says it's a chance for students to think about trade careers.
Nearly 700 students from 27 high schools in the area participated in the Trades Day event at Palomar College. They got some hands-on experience with drywalling, woodworking, and welding, to name a few.
It was super fun. It was a great experience. Stop by.
Wolfgang Warshaw is a senior at San Diego High School's Geotech Academy. He's looking at a career in engineering, but wants to know his options.
We've been doing a lot of stuff this senior year, trying to figure out what's next, what the next steps are for college, mainly apprenticeships.
His classmate, Clarissabel Rodriguez, is looking for the same thing. Through Geotech, she's found a passion for electrical engineering and trades.
I want something to be able to learn fast and quick because my comprehension is very fast, and I just love engineering in general, like construction. I love trades.
Today's event was hosted by the Construction Industry Education Foundation.
The purpose of today's event is showing that trade careers are not dead-end jobs. In fact, you can make a lot of money doing it.
Carpenters right now are at $63,000 coming out of their apprenticeship.
Dustin Hildebrand is the foundation's youth program coordinator.
Today, a lot of these companies have internships or apprenticeships that you guys can start right out of high school.
He says there is a shortage of skilled workers in the United States right now, and the needs are growing.
So we're trying to introduce students to that career field at an earlier age, and try to encourage them towards that path of finding an apprenticeship or an internship right out of high school.
Beyond internships and apprenticeships, students can also get an associate degree in the trades, such as welding. Skilled workers with a college degree can increase their lifetime earning potential. Having tried his hands at welding, Walshaw says it's piqued his interest in the field.
I really do like it. It's something it's satisfying for me. I feel good when I'm doing it.
Alexander Wynn, KPBS News.
All right, let's start you off with your weather headlines. What do you need to know over these next few days? Well, we are on a cooling trend. Temperatures will slightly drop each day over these next few days, and winds are also going to be picking up, ramping up, especially across the mountains and the deserts. And we're dealing with some patchy drizzle, especially late at night into the early morning hours. So we are dealing with some instability across the area, as well as that much cooler air. And we do have this dip in the jet stream, so we are able to tap into some of that instability and get some action across the area. Mostly going to be manifesting itself in the form of fog as we are experiencing a deeper marine layer, especially as we head into the day on Wednesday. Fog late again for tonight. We're dropping down to a low of 62. Now across the rest of the region, well, Oceanside, you're dropping down to 61. Borrego Springs even cooler at 57, and Mount Laguna at 47. Now where do temperatures go for tomorrow? Well, a little cooler, even from Today, Ramona at 73. San Diego at 69. You'll note that we are dealing with a few showers along the coast. And as we head a little bit further east, well, Mount Laguna comes in with a high of 58 and Borrego Springs just 86. Now, we are going to continue to watch that rain pass through as we head into the day on Wednesday. Mostly cloudy skies there along the coast with a high of 70. Temperatures, though, staying pretty moderate there along the coast. But you'll note as we head a little bit further inland, where do temperatures go? Well, again, they're cooler than where they were just over these last few days. And so we are going to be staying in the low 70s, upper 60s, even as we head into the weekend. And we're going to be staying in the 50s, closer towards the mountains. Again, it is going to be a little breezy at times, even cooling down quite a bit as we head into the day on Sunday. Look at that, 54 Saturday, 43 by Sunday. So the chill is real, and we'll even see a dramatic drop in the deserts as well. We're going to be in the 80s over these next 2 days, but then we're going to drop down to the 70s by Sunday. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Bree Guy.
The San Diego Padres are suddenly looking for a new manager. Several major media outlets are reporting Bob Melvin will leave the team to coach the San Francisco Giants, according to anonymous sources. No formal announcement from the Padres. Melvin's 2 years with the Padres included a deep run in last year's playoffs, but the Padres underachieved this year, missing the playoffs entirely. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. Some companies are experimenting with a 4-day work week without reducing employee pay. NPR's Morning Edition explains why it's the right move for certain businesses. And KPBS Midday Edition is talking with local Assembly member David Alvarez about the signing of his lowrider bill, as well as more of his legislative efforts. And you can find tonight's story on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.